Hello, thanks for joining me for 2nd Samuel in summertime. Today is Sunday, June 20th. It is Father's Day. It's also the birthday of the father of my child, so he gets two birds with one stone. Happy birthday, honey. And today is the 20th chapter of the book of Samuel. So some more people die. David is now, he's defeated Absalom. He's ready to be king again and go back into Jerusalem. And they're fighting over which group of people are welcoming him into Jerusalem and back into the role of king again. And the Judites are always with David, but the Israelites are swayed by a newcomer into the fray. His name is Sheba. He is son of Bichiri, the Benjamite. So Sheba says, "We don't know who the son of Jesse is. We don't know King David. He's not. We have no portion in him. You know, they offered their 10 portions, and now he's saying, no, we don't want them. So he's a kind of a usurper. He's against David. He's raised his hand against David. So David calls his general, Amasa. Remember, he put Amasa in charge of the army in place of Joab because Joab killed Absalom. He's still mad about it. So Amasa was Absalom's general, and so to do a political move and make people get along with each other, he takes Absalom's right-hand man and puts him in charge of his generals in place of Joab, kind of pushing Joab off to the side. And Joab is leading a group of men, and his brother's still there as well. And so what happens is when they find out about this guy Sheba, King David amasses his army and I shouldn't have said that. He gathers his army using Amasa and Joab, his generals, and they meet up at this place where there's a big rock, which is, we're supposed to know what that is. Scholars don't know what that is, which is, we can't tell what the place of the big rock is, but that's where they are when Joab has an encounter with Amasa. He goes to grab his beard to kiss him with one hand, and with the other hand takes his sword and stabs him in the guts. And he apparently gives him a little like surgery with the guts because all his guts fall out all over the place. His entrails. So this happens to Amasa. Joab, looking to keep his place in the army, leading David's army, he has now struck a mortal blow to Amasa. Now, I guess they have him on the side of the road there, and he leaves somebody there to guard him, and a lot of people come by and see him, so they drag him out to a field and cover him up with a cloak. We don't know if he dies or not. He's just there, and he has his entrails falling out. So it gets worse. Joab then pursues this guy Sheba. They pursue him to a town called Abel. And the town of Abel is known for being a town of wisdom. And this woman, a wise woman, who is she's called from the city, and she says tell Joab to come here and I want to speak with him. And so she basically acts as a negotiator, says that we are a wise city. We are a city that it is said to be you used to say in the old days, let them inquire at Abel. So they would settle a matter. So they were good at negotiating and settling things. They're basically the Ken Feinstein of the day. So she's there and she says, you got this army around this town. You don't want to kill these people. You don't want to harm these folks. And the way she words it is, you don't want to swallow up or destroy this town. And Joab says, of course, far be it. I do not want to swallow up or destroy this town. However, there's a guy in there named Sheba, and he's lifted his hand against the king, and I'm coming for him. So she says, great, we'll kill him, and we'll you just give him up alone, and I'll leave the city, withdraw from the city. So the woman said, Joab, the head shall be thrown over the wall to you. Yeah. So that's what happens. So she's great. We'll cut his head off. We'll throw it over the wall to you and you guys can leave. Okay? Okay, great. And that's what happens. And that's what they do. So that Joab returns to Jerusalem to the king. All the people go back to where they were. He blows the trumpet. They all go back. And Joab returns to Jerusalem to the king with the head of Sheba, son of Bichri, the Benjamite. And then the last few verses of the chapter just give you a little attendance sheet of David's cabinet. Joab is once again the commander of all the armies. Nobody's messing with Joab unless you want your guts. All over the field. So, and then there's Benaniah, son of somebody who's in command of the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and Adoram in charge of forced labor. Jehoshaphat, son of somebody, was the recorder. Sheba was the secretary. Zadok and Abiathar, remember them? They're the priests. We've seen them before. And then we have a newcomer on the scene. Ira the Jerite is also David's priest. So they got Ira the Jerite's mentioned here. It's interesting that people don't name their children Bichri or Joab or Abisha, but we get Ira and David. We get David, but it's interesting. I was like, oh, Ira, I can pronounce that name really easily. That's great. And Jehoshaphat, I just know from like Sunday school and VBS. But that's what happens in this chapter. More blood and guts and gore. And some of you have come up to me when we've been in person in worship or something and said, I didn't know this chapters would be so gory. It's so much violence, and it's just kind of the way it is. That's why I chose, not the whole reason I chose it, but that's why I chose it, because I think it's good to like familiarize yourself with what these stories of, the pre-exilic Israel and the before the divided kingdom, they're very important. They're for creating community, but they're also, it's also good to know what's in here. And there's always a lesson for us. I mean, the violence is, if it makes you unsettled, it's good. That you shouldn't be settled with violence. Violence is never a good thing. They were going to go in that city and destroy it. And the woman says, no. Just kind of like Abigail did in 1 Samuel with David. No. Don't come in here and destroy everybody. Just, what do you want? We want Sheba. Okay, we'll cut off his head, send it over the wall, and we're done. And that's violent, of course. That's horrible. But it's better than having the whole place be all destroyed or swallowed up, as she put. So tomorrow is the 21st chapter. We're getting towards the end of the book of 2 Samuel. And I'm sad to say that, because it's been a fun ride. So I hope you have a beautiful day. Happy Father's Day. And we'll see you tomorrow.